Hello everyone, this is Tapiwanashe Sebastian Garikayi, and I'm so happy to be presenting this year at a Type Weekend conference. I'm truly honored. I'm going to be presenting on Decolonizing Typography, the journey of creating a font for an African writing system. And I'm not going to talk much about myself. You're probably going to realize more about me. You're going to get to know me through what I'm going to be talking about today. So to begin with, there's so many writing systems in the world, and by writing systems I mean the systems that we use to transcribe or to translate what we speak into written language. So within these writing systems, we also have African writing systems that are native to the African continent, and I'm sure most of you are familiar with the most popular ones, the Egyptian hieroglyphs or Ethiopic. And actually, yes, some of them we have about over 38 of them. Both ancient and some of them are quite very modern, with the most recent coming out in around 2009, and some even in this year. And also, the one that I'm going to be focusing on today actually is something we call the Mwangwego script. And this one was created in Southern Africa, and it's actually quite recent. It was created in the 20th century. It was created in Malawi, in Southern Africa, in Malawi. As you can see there on the map, it's actually down south there, where we have the small orange circle and the syllable for A there. And it's used to write the native languages of Malawi, the indigenous languages of Malawi, which include Chichewa, which is the main spoken one there in Malawi, and all the other indigenous languages in Southern Africa. It's capable of writing all of those. And unfortunately, it can't write English. You can't write English using the Mwangwego script unless you transcribe it and you divide it into syllables. So actually, it was actually meant for this languages of the Southern Bantu group of languages. Okay, the languages that are spoken in Mozambique, Zambia, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, DRC Congo, Burundi, Rwanda, Kenya, and Uganda. So the main for today is Mr. Nolens Moses Mwangwego, and he is the inventor of the Mwangwego script, and it was actually named, he actually named it after himself, hence the Mwangwego script, and he was born in 1951. And fortunately enough, he's still alive, which is one of the things that actually drove me to work on this project, because the inventor is actually still alive, which means that the source of information is actually quite real. And it's actually easy to get in touch with him and actually try to get more information on the script and actually work with him, the man himself. Yes. And so he first had the idea in 1977. That's when he had the initial idea of creating the script. But in April 1979, that's when he first created the symbols for the writing systems. And he worked on them over the years, over and over until again in 1997, that's when he had partially finished it, and he launched it then, and then he completed the whole project in 2003, making the total years that he worked on the project 24 years. As you can see, that's true dedication there. That's true dedication. I mean, I'm not even 24 years old yet. Yeah, that's how dedicated this man was to his invention. So why create a writing system? What drove him to create the writing system? This is one of the things that I share with Mr. Nolens Mwangwego. This is something that also drove me to work on the project, because I totally resonate with his ideas and the reasons why he created the script. So he created the script to replace the Latin alphabet. when writing the indigenous languages of Malawi. And just like him, I don't see a reason why we should be we should still be using the Latin alphabet in this age. And we need to decolonize typography. We need to decolonize that aspect, because it's something that came with colonization and missionaries, and it doesn't resonate with us at all. We don't feel any part of any connection at all. And the other reason why he created this, which leads to the second reason he created this, is that it has to serve as one of the symbols of national unity and identity. Think of when you see the Chinese writing system or the Russian writing system, the Cyrillic, is it? When you look at them, you see identity. You see people belonging to a certain group. It's identity. And the other aspect is, well, here in Africa we've got so many languages. Like in each country we've got so many languages and so many tribes. And actually having a native writing system could actually foster national unity between the people, of the country. So that's also one of the reasons why he created the writing system. And most importantly, to accurately represent the linguistic properties of the indigenous languages here in Africa, which is a huge problem that we have across Africa, that the Latin writing system actually doesn't accurately represent the way we speak. So we've got languages dying, and it's actually limited in terms of writing. The way you write language, it can be a bit confusing at times, and we've got so many problems with this. And I think the writing system, looking at it, it poses to solve that problem. So when talking about the writing system itself, the Mwangwego script, it's actually a syllabic writing system which uses symbols for syllables, and it is composed of 32 symbols, 32 symbols, which are called misisi. And this is one of the major differences already, like with the usual Latin writing system that I'm used to designing for. There we've got a change in terminology already. We call a shift from letters or from symbols to misisi, is it? So already we've got a shift in terminology, and that's one aspect of decolonizing. And as you can see, the letter forms are quite beautiful, and they're just 32, and it makes it easier to write. And when I started working on the project, my major source was the charts provided by Mr. Mwangwego on the drafts of the writing system. And there you can see the basic repertoire of the misisi, when connected to the vowel marks. So there is the basic repertoires of the misisi when connected to the vowel marks. And this actually helped me in determining the actual shapes of the misisi or the symbols, so that it to be accurate, and the morphology will be the same. It wouldn't be something that I would make up and actually rob Mr. Mwangwego of his initial design. So it was a very important aspect to consider when looking at the sources. And then the other type of sources that I looked at were the charts for the different types of compositions we have, or different types of word compositions. So the initial ones are the misisi words. The misisi words are actually composed, the basic words that are formed by the basic misisi symbols. And then we've got the misiri words, which are symbols that are words that are composed of the misiri, which are basically the misisi, or the symbols connected to the vowel marks. Okay, connected to the vowel marks. When they are now connected to the vowel marks, they are called misiri. Okay, and then the mituyo words, which actually feature the diacritics. Okay, we're going to look at those. The diacritics, or as they are called, the mituyo. Okay, that's the terminology we use with the Mwangwego writing system. The mituyo. Those are the diacritics. So this actually helps in understanding how the letter forms are constructed, the spacing between them, and how they relate to each other. And this is crucial in making the initial design decisions when designing a font for such a writing system. And this actually helped me when I was creating the Mwangwego script, because I had proper guidance when creating it. And the other source as well was the book that was created by Mr. Mwangwego, the first and I think currently the only book on the Mwangwego script that was created using the Mwangwego script. And as you can see, it looks quite beautiful and handmade. It's actually beautiful, and it actually helps in determining also the relation between the letters, the repetitions, the consistencies, and the spacing, how it relates to diacritics and all that stuff. And this is the crucial aspect as well in designing a font. You need to look at all this source text so that you can better understand the writing system. How will it look? How will one symbol look next to the other? And after all this, I created the first 32 misisi syllables and the Latin, and as you can see, the Latin equivalence, and they look quite beautiful. And there we've got the vowel marks, the A, E, O, and U, and we've got the diacritics, the mituyo or mituyo, okay? The diacritics or the mituyo. And actually, most of them, okay? As you can see, they are basically 11 base diacritics or mituyo, and then the others are just stacked together, okay? They're just stacked together. And out of those, all of them, 5 of them are placed above or below. So we've got one that's placed below, and we've got 4 others, okay, that are placed above. And then the rest are placed beside the syllable that they are modifying. The rest are placed beside the syllable that they are modifying. And we're going to see how it comes to play later on. So in terms of the design itself, when I designed it, I actually took inspiration from ballpoint pen writing, which is very popular here this side of the world. It's the main tool that we use for writing, and that's the one that I drew inspiration from, and I had to mimic it. Then you see the rounded tips on the letter forms, and that smooth flow to mimic ballpoint writing. And I had to make sure that the morphology of the letters and the overall look of the letters is still the same with the original. And another thing that I considered was the similarity in shapes. When you look at the letters on the chast there, as you can see, the symbols for sa and sha, as you can see, they look very similar with a very little difference. And there are so many other symbols that actually look similar. And I think when I designed the font, I had to consider that and had to make sure that it appeared in whatever I was creating. And so there you can see the sha, the sa, the ma, the sa, and they all look similar. And then in terms of the height of the letters, I had to work with the cap height. So the Mwangwego script, unlike the Latin script, doesn't have an X height, and that's one of the things that I learned from this process, that I had to decolonize my mind for this. I actually had to block out everything I know about the Latin script, everything I've learned about typography, about type making and everything, so that I could focus on this, because this was totally different. I had to take a whole new different approach. So considering that, I had to work with the baseline cap height only, and another height for the diacritics to make space for the diacritics. So that's one of the major differences that's there from what I'm used to. And then in terms of the weight, I had to work with one weight. Why? Because when you look at the Mwangwego writing script, the way the characters are constructed, we don't have alternate characters whereby we have lowercase and uppercase, and we also have a mixture of vowel marks being included there and diacritics coming in beside, above, and below randomly. And so, considering all that, if I had to make a weight that was too heavy or too light, that would actually hinder the legibility of the whole typeface, of the whole writing system, and it would be quite difficult to read. So I had to work with a neutral weight, which is a medium weight, and yeah, that's how this one. That's the design decision that I had to take on going on there. And then in terms of the orientation of the writing system, it's written from left to right. It's written from left to right, and it's very upright. As you can see from the source text, it's very, very upright. There are no italics. It's not leaning in any manner. So italics don't exist, which is another difference from other writing systems. Italics don't exist at all. So it's just upright as it is, and it looks beautiful as it is. And if I was to include italics, it would become totally unreadable, and also difficult. And as you can see, this writing system is very basic and very simple. It's actually easy, and further complicating it by adding things like italics makes it something else. And then the last thing that I had to work on was the text shaping, and this was actually how to combine the base mituyos or the base msisis, the syllables, okay, to the vowel marks, so that they can come up with the misisi. So the first thing there is is what you can see there, the misisi combining with the vowel mark to get the mituyo. Okay, so the ba plus o equals bo. And so I had to write open type features for that. And the ba plus mula, the diacritic mula, equals bla. And that's the final composition there. And ba plus mituyo mi wire, which is the diacritic mi wire, and you get bla, like that. Okay, so that's the basic text shaping that I had to consider when writing the open type features for the font, and it actually worked beautifully. It's actually quite easy to use. So yeah, that's basically it about the Mwangwego script. It's currently it's not yet encoded into the Unicode consortium. So people are still working on it. Actually, there's a proposal that was written by Michael Everson on the Mwangwego script so that it can be encoded, and is working with Mr. Mwangwego and the several people as well that are working on the project, so that the Mwangwego script can be encoded into the Unicode consortium. So that's pretty good progress there. And currently, the script is over 20,000 speakers. People have been taught to write the system by Mr. Mwangwego, and is trying to work with the government so that it can be incorporated into schools, and they can actually start teaching the writing script on a national level. But the government, African governments can be a bit something else. Yeah, they hinder progress. Yeah, that's it. They hinder progress. So it's actually also to get the government on board. But yeah, he's trying to make sure that it happens as soon as possible. And hopefully by end of this year, something should be up in terms of that in that aspect. So what I've learned through this is that as designers, we've got a role to play. We've got a role to play towards this. And for me in particular, in this script, I saw an opportunity that this writing script, in terms of the education process of educating people, it was lacking in terms of the font, because it would be difficult to produce books, mobile apps, and stuff like that when you don't have a font that exists for the writing system. It becomes a very, 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 very tedious process to come up with books and stuff. As you have seen from the book that I showed you earlier by Mr. Mwangwego, it's very, very, it was handmade, and you can see that a lot of work was put in making that. And it would have been easier if there was a font that was there to have made the work less, very, very less. So yeah, that's basically it. I hope more designers can push towards such initiatives all over the world, so that these writing systems can be revived and they can be used with the communities in need. And actually, for the Mwangwego script, in terms of education, it will go a long way in helping with the literacy rates within the country, and hopefully within the region, because the Latin script hinders the way people learn local languages. It's very, very difficult, and people are forced to then learn English, which is also another hurdle, and they have to spend so much time learning English instead of doing what they should be doing with the languages that they have. So yeah, I really hope that changes for better. Thank you, Tatenda Siyabonga. I'm very grateful to be part of this. Thank you very much, Tatenda Siyabonga.